if you're hiring women and you're having conversations with your cisgendered white male buddies and you're like, man, I would have loved to put you in the room this season, but it had to go to what you're telling your client or your buddy or whomever is that the people who are in those seats are less talented or less deserving, and they're only there because of their genitalia or the color of their skin. And I sure hope that's not true, because that's really going to damage your writer's room. I hope you're hiring super talented, well-deserving people who are going to give you everything, and I guarantee they will, because they're being given a shot they've never been given before. But if you're telling your clients the reason those people are in that room is because of those two things, you are doing a huge disservice to yourself and their understanding of what's going on, and you are further progressing sexism and racism and all of that stuff.
You're listening to The Other 50%, a Her Story of Hollywood. I'm Julie Harris Walker. This is the podcast where I talk to successful women in entertainment and hear their stories. This episode is brought to you by the entertainment payroll company Extreme Reach. They have the most comprehensive suite of tools and services to support all areas of media and content creation, from tax incentive support to accounting software and payroll services. I've seen their software. It's beautiful. If you're producing film and television, you should call them and tell them I sent you. And as a bonus, they are committed to including and promoting women, and I could not be happier that they are a sponsor of this podcast. For this episode, I sat down with Ally Iseman. Ally is an actor, writer, and producer. She has worked on stage in productions like Jekyll and Hyde, where she portrayed 4 different characters with just as many dialects, as well as on screens big and small, including shows like American Housewife, Criminal Minds, and Days of Our Lives. Ally recently worked on 3 feature films that you'll be able to see her in: Nesting Doll, A Giant Without a Head, and Life on the Rocks. Ally has spoken on numerous panels about gender parity and intersectional inclusive feminism, and does her best to align herself with work that has an eye on advocacy. Her internationally award-winning film Wedlocked, an LGBTQ comedy about gay divorce, toured at over 45 film festivals worldwide, securing digital, broadcast, and theatrical distribution. Most recently, she can be seen in the feature film Solver, hosting the new plant-based food travel show, The Road Less Eaten, and in her gender parody comedy series Flip the Script, which is being produced in partnership with Women in Film. You can find us at theother50%.com for added features, photos, show notes, and the merchandise. I just put in some great coffee tumblers and mugs. You can also listen on Apple Podcasts and all the podcast places. In fact, if you're trying to listen to it on a podcast platform and it's not there, let me know so I can make sure that it is there. And if you haven't already, check out our other 2 podcasts, The Kiss My Age Show, which is where women of a certain vintage, grown-ups, talk about anything and everything and all the things that matter, hosted by Lasta Drakovic, Karen Samuelson, and me. And if you fall into that category, please join the Facebook group and join in the conversation. And Exit 38. It's a show where Emily Van Dyne and Sean Patrick Hughes, who seem to be opposites from a political perspective, discuss the issues of the day while trying to find common ground. Okay, here's my conversation with Ally Iseman. Have a listen. Now, I'm going to start by saying every other post on my Facebook feed is, just got to work with Ally Iseman today. It was amazing. So...
Well, that's great. I'm glad that's the experience everyone's having and sharing about it.
I see you everywhere. Tell us what you do.
Oh my goodness, what don't I do? No, I guess I'm a triple threat, modern day triple threat, actor, writer, producer. So
yes.
I love that we're in this space right now in the industry where there's so much more, I guess, freedom and acceptance to do that. Because as an actor, you can feel really powerless unless you've reached that upper echelon 1% where you have a say. But
you're supposed to be pretty and dumb. Just say the lines.
Yeah, exactly. Show up, say words. Try a few different things, leave.
Yeah.
Which is still fun. Don't get me wrong. I got to do that about 3 times this summer. I was shot 3 features, and 1 as a lead, and then 2 supporting day player kind of roles. And it was very surreal to just be like, oh, that was all I can just go home.
One job?
Wow. Oh, okay. I'm so used to at this point, taking things from concept to completion, which I love as well. And that's why I say I think it's so wonderful right now where my writing can support my acting and vice versa. I learn about both crafts by doing both crafts. Learning about producing and the financing side of things and how you get a ship to sail kind of thing is so empowering to be able to just get it from all those different angles.
It's fantastic. Yeah. Let's start at the beginning.
No.
What did you want to do?
When I grow up?
Yeah.
I still don't know. I don't want to grow up. I like Toys R Us.
Where did you grow up?
I'm from Merlin, as I used to say, like the wizard. Yes.
Baltimore?
No, actually, between Baltimore and DC, much closer mileage-wise to DC, but with just the way the Beltway is laid out, it takes about the same amount of time. I'm about 10 miles from the center of DC, so I say I'm from DC. It's just easier for people, usually.
So were you doing plays in high school?
No, so funny enough,
Did you say no?
No, I didn't. I didn't even start exploring this until college.
Tell me
So
more.
I was a late bloomer, if you will. I always felt like really shy as a kid. I grew up, I'm so grateful to my mom. We always went to dinner theater, and I remember the moment that I realized, like, that's a job. I was watching the televised broadcast of the musical Oklahoma. Oh my God, Carly. But it just, for whatever reason, in that moment, it like clicked, and I was like, these are people that are doing this is like a job. And I was
amazing.
Like I was like, that is so magical, because I never knew how to answer, what do you want to be when you grow up? It was like all of the things, like, something with animals, or, but I just loved the potential of human. I want to do all of the things. And so when I realized that was kind of what that was, I loved it, but I felt I actually have a lot of social anxiety that apparently like no one realizes but me. And so I felt as a kid very shy, and like that's not something I could really do, so I'll just like appreciate from afar. So I ended up going to school to university for fashion design initially, because I was going to do costuming and like be involved that way.
Yeah,
and I had a minor in actor adjacent. And got a minor in art history and was studying all of that, and I love, even as an actor now, like costume is such an important part for me. Like I hold my body completely differently. Like it really is that finishing touch. So I appreciate that artistry so much. But while I was, what was that, junior year? The school I went to, Drexel in Philadelphia, they do a co-op program so that you're working in your field for 6 months junior year, but then you go to school year-round for all 4 years, or you can graduate in 5 years. So I ended up, for whatever reason, one day I was in the art college, and there was a posting for student films. And I've seen them before. For whatever reason, that day, I grabbed it. And I don't mean I grabbed the little tab, You remember back in the day when we had flyers and there were phone numbers?
Did you rip off the one
Yeah,
tab?
the one little piece. No, I took the whole thing. I took the whole thing off the board. I don't know why. And I put it in my bag.
This is mine.
Thank you so much.
Mine.
I put it in my bag, and I carried it around with me all day. And I just in my bag, and I was having dinner with my boyfriend at the time, and I was like, oh, this is so funny, haha, like I did this thing. And he's like, no, you should audition. And I was like, I can't, like, come on, I'm not.
Well, you ruined it for everyone else.
I was like, no one else can audition, so I better go in, because I'm going to play all the parts. No, but I ended up, I'm so grateful still to this day. Like, that conversation was sort of that moment of like, give it a shot.
Why not?
Why not, right? And it's funny, because I generally speaking live that way, but I think when it's so close to your heart, there's so many more blocks that we put up.
Yeah, because it's so scary,
Yeah,
painful.
'cause
What
it's
if
so
you were really
real.
good at it? Oh,
Exactly.
no.
It's love. It's falling in love. It's such, that vulnerability, that risk. But I ended up getting a few parts. I ended up doing some local plays, getting some national regional commercials, doing some independent film, and I ended up using my co-op to start working in the film and television space. So
while you were still in college, you were getting these jobs.
Yeah, and so the college was amazing. They worked with me to sort of sculpt a major that helped me still graduate on time, because if I had transferred to, like Yale or NYU or something, I would have had to start all over again, because they work on a quarter system instead of a semester system.
And
so
P.S.,
none of my...
they discourage you working in the industry while you're there.
Yeah, which we all have different opinions.
You weren't having that.
I learn by doing, and I think that's the greatest, most efficient way to learn. Not to say that, having an education in whatever craft you're pursuing is a bad thing, but everything is learning.
Yeah.
So I really, really appreciated that, and it gave me the chance to really experience what that was like. And so I stayed in Philly for about another year, and then headed to LA. And wow. Like it's so funny. Everyone's like, oh, you're gonna have a culture shock or whatever. And my culture shock was like, oh, finally I'm home. Like I get it here. Like this makes sense.
That's how I felt when I got here. I got in my car and drove to my job interview, and I didn't even look at a map. I was like, I think I'm home.
That's amazing. Yeah. So it's been a journey, and it's funny. I'd been told to write my whole life. I literally you can't make this stuff up. I had an English teacher in high school named Mrs. Wright. Yep. For real. And I remember it was during the time when we were picking our majors and our schools and all that, and she pulls me aside in the hallway and she goes, You're gonna study writing, right?
Like,
you're
a
gonna
writer.
Write. Yeah.
Hello.
I was like, oh no, you don't understand. Like I don't know how, but I'm gonna be in film and television, but like, you know, I'm an artist, I'm an actor, I'm a whatever.
Yeah.
At the time, she's like, you need to write. Like, Mrs. Wright, my English teacher. Like, I don't think the universe could have screamed louder at that point. But yeah, I was in denial for many years about that. And, you know, it's funny, I still, you know, I wrote poetry like everybody does. And I, you know, like, I was always writing, but I never like saw it as a real thing.
Everybody doesn't.
Doesn't really? Oh, I just
Everybody
assume.
doesn't write poetry.
I feel like I've been in LA too long. Everyone's a spoken word artist. Like, it's amazing being surrounded by all this creativity. But yeah, I couldn't like deny that part of myself anymore. I literally, at this point, a little over 3 years ago maybe, or just shy of 3 years? We'll call it 3 years. Ago, I literally got woken up in the middle of the night by a TV show that made me write it down. Like, it's like, okay, I think I need to.
Okay.
Fine. Yeah. Yeah, and I've just been sort of exploring that ever since. And it's funny, so Flip the Script, my gender parody comedy series, was a writing like exercise I gave myself while I was writing my real project.
Okay, explain what that is, because I've seen it. It's hilarious. Everyone should look it up.
Thank you. Yeah, so Flip the Script it's a short form gender parody comedy series, because what's funnier than inequality?
It's hilarious.
Hilarity. So basically, at this point, so about 3 years ago, we're starting to see some of the first inklings of headlines. This was before, you know, Weinstein and before gender parody was cool.
And we were just hearing a little teeny buzz under the surface.
Yeah, like just that first little, you know, headlines and all that. And I was at the time I had been involved in a few women in entertainment circles. And so I was just curious, you know, we're reading these articles. This is cool. People are paying attention. Is anything actually changing like day to day? Like, what's going on? So I just sent out an email to one of my networks. And day one, I got like 40 emails back of just people sharing their stories with me. Yeah. So I read as many as I could, and then I had to close my laptop and sob and do nothing else for the rest of the day. Because nothing was changing, like, at all. Which is almost worse when you see this representation. We're like, no, you see, you're being heard, but you know that you're still in this like abusive world that doesn't see you and doesn't hear you and doesn't acknowledge or value you.
You got to think it's a step.
It is.
Because I think it starts with, I just need to try harder, and it's me. And then you hear, oh, no, it's everybody. Oh, it's not us. It's a system. Okay, now we're talking about it. Okay, now what?
Yes. Which I think is what's different right now. We're at this like watershed moment, this tipping point, because we have heard about it before. This is not new. This is the foundation of what everything is built on. And so it's crumbling for the first time. I really do believe that. I'm actually seeing systemic change, which is different because it's a systemic issue, but I've never seen that in, you know, my short time on this planet. But I've heard.
And we're recording the day CBS is falling apart.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a harsh way to say it, but Les Moonves stepped down, the head of 60 Minutes just stepped down.
Yeah. I got some friends over there. I'm sending love. But it's a tumultuous time right now, but in the way, I mean, it's a parallel to what we're seeing politically. It is that I really feel it's that rock bottom, and now we have to destroy the old paradigm in order to build a new one, because I don't think the solution is replacing the boys' club with a girls' club. That's not going to get us anywhere. No. We have to build bridges. That's the future. The future is inclusive to me.
Yes. And
that takes toppling the patriarchy. Thank you, Jill. Like, it's absolutely what it takes. And that doesn't mean hating men and whatever. It's because they suffer from it too. Like, the patriarchy, no one gets out unscathed. Like, they're dealing with toxic masculinity and this structure that they have to fit in that then breeds all this abuse, and then it's a cycle, and it's just, So
just to say that again, toppling the patriarchy does not mean harming men, kicking men out, not having men be part of it. It's a system that we need to revise.
Absolutely. It's a very broken, very abusive system that nobody really wins from. I really don't think that. We're a collaborator, especially our industry, we're collaborators. That's what we do. Like, no archer did anything by themselves. Yeah. Like, it's just not real. We are so much stronger when we work together as a species and as just creatives. But I think you asked me about what Flip the Script was.
Flip the Script. Let's get back to that.
So with all that, Flip the Script's a comedy about all of that stuff. Because I honestly, I really believe that comedy is such a powerful tool to get people to listen and understand something that they might not have otherwise. Because you can get a little, what's the term? you can get burnout when you're just the articles and the studies and people are angry and they're hurt.
You can't be in the rage all the time.
Yeah, and you're
you see
literally
something and it makes you laugh and it's absurd.
It gets in. You're literally activating a different part of your brain.
Yeah.
So you're able to intake information in a completely different way, where otherwise you may have had barriers up or you're too, in your head. So it's a really, really powerful tool. So when I read through all those emails, and it was so much to hold space for, I was like, well, I have to do something with this. That's the only way I can process it. I was like, well, I'm writing this other thing. I don't know what I'm doing. So let's turn this into like a writing exercise. I'll do like short form sketches to help me just understand structure better and get used to like the beats and all that. So I started taking these stories. Every single episode is a good solid chunk verbatim lines that have literally been said word for word.
It is a true story.
Yes, it is very much, it is based on and a very true story. And I've, of course, merged a few things here and there, but they're all including verbatim lines that have been said to women, and I simply flip the genders in all of the scenarios, and thus they become strange and hilarious. Because to see women speak to men that way, or really any minority group speak to the, group in power, you just don't see it. So it's this like odd, surreal, hilarious thing, and then you go, oh wait.
Oh.
Oh,
yeah.
Why is that funny? Oh. And I've gotten, it's been wonderful to get feedback, even from, the beautiful cisgendered white men in my lives who see it and get it. And, I didn't actually think about it that way. I mean, There's different degrees of wokeness. So, it's been really cool to see the response just across the board and to see and to hear, it moves me so much to know that, people are seeing their story told and it in a way that they can share it with people in a non-aggressive, non-antagonist, non-threatening way, which is, I think, really powerful.
Like, for example, the one where was the white male director showed up on set and everyone responded. Can you describe that one?
Yeah. So we wanted to juxtapose sort of the difference of the same behavior, really, or the polar behavior, basically this, professional, respectful, experienced white male director shows up to set, but, everyone on set is female because that's the world that we're in. And so, of course, they assume he's there delivering something or, are you filling in? You're whatever it is, he goes up to the DP and she's like, great, cool, grab me an apple, I'll be over here, peel it, thanks. We worked with incredible actors. That was Rob Hubel played our director and Dana Powell's the DP. And then we had the next week on that same set, that show, one of the ongoing procedural shows. The next director is this firecracker woman played by Lake Bell, who's just basically making the same notes, but a tirade of abusive tactics to do so. And the DP is just she is a genius. And everyone is more than happy to walk on the eggshells she's throwing out there. And it's just, it seems ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
It's very literal.
Yes.
And I'm not making it up. Do you know what I mean? These are all stories.
But we would not tolerate that behavior from a woman.
Not even a little. And you hear things, and I've experienced it myself. I'm, was raised to believe in my opinions and, make sure I can back myself up and everything. But why shouldn't I speak and share those? And it's amazing the reactions I will see sitting in the same room with my business partners who are white men, how it gets treated completely differently when they're addressing something versus when I am straight on.
It is amazing.
It's incredible. And I'm, it's so easy to get angry or hurt. And I don't, believe me, I do. But I just try and turn that into something more useful, which again is why I believe so much in comedy, because for me, I'm releasing as well. Instead of diving deeper into the, dark and the anger and all that, I'm turning it into, let's all be able to laugh at this together so that we can build a future together. So that's the long, short story.
Good. Okay. So you did that project.
Yes. Well, we're still doing it. So we made 4 episodes with Women in Film. They came on board as our partner for the first 4, and sort of serving as a proof of concept. And again, we released these before all that stuff broke.
It was before me too.
Yeah, before all of it. And so obviously it's very topical and timely. So we're meeting with, brands and platforms and production companies to kind of just find the right partnerships to keep this thing going. Because I've always said that this is the only series out there whose sole purpose is to outdate itself. I want to keep making these until they're no longer relevant. Because it's and I'm not the first person to say this, we've seen moments before in history, but the conversation dissipates or we get distracted. And believe me, there's plenty of stuff to be distracted by right now in the world. But this is important as one of the conversations we need to be having. And I just think entertainment is such a great way to keep people engaged who otherwise wouldn't be. And so if we can keep people talking about people who aren't in the industry, because this series isn't just in entertainment. It starts there, but we're going to hit, law, finance, factory workers. Like, it's everywhere.
It happens everywhere.
Everywhere. And so I was actually asked to develop a 30-minute pilot as well off of it.
Okay.
So I have that, and it's sort of 1.5 projects now. Like, we're taking around, kind of support each other as a multi-platform option sort of thing. So yeah, it's interesting. I'm really excited to see where we end up landing and who we work with, because I think, it's more important now than ever. And we have some great talent that's already, signed on to continue directing, starring in it, all that stuff. So finding the right people to help us continue making this is our next step, basically.
Good. It's so encouraging, because I've heard so many people say, we can't let this just be a moment, it has to be a movement. Because we saw there was a big surge, I think in the late 80s, where suddenly there were a bunch of women directors, and there was a lot of movement, and then everyone relaxed, and it all went away.
Exactly. Because we all want to be comfortable. That's normal. That's totally normal.
Yeah.
It's not insidious. It is totally normal physically
to want to equal out. Yeah. We can just live now.
Being in cortisol mode is really intense. But the thing is, we need to sit in that uncomfortable moment, and as long as we can, so that we can shift into that new comfort.
Yes, activism. It's a way of life now.
Yes.
It's not just
artivism is a term that I just learned. I really love that.
Artivism?
I'm an artivist.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
I cannot take ownership over that, but I really enjoy it.
But we're going to put that.
Whoever's responsible, thank you.
We're going to put that in the lexicon.
Yes.
That is fantastic. And I was just thinking, as you're talking about this series, juxtaposing it to who's the boss? Mm-hmm. We thought was so progressive because she was the boss, but even in the title, what?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's so interesting. Intentions are so great, but like I said, I have a lot of wonderful male friends in this industry, and I've never heard the term, strong female lead so many times, or empowered female director, or all these words. And I'm like, cool, keep saying it. But also I encourage you to just say director. And then when you're talking about her, you'll use words like she, and I'll know.
Yeah, does everybody have to be a warrior?
Yes.
Can we just have representations of normal women doing normal things?
Yeah, I'd love that. I think we're moving into that. I get for a period of time, that's activism, right? We do need those loud, angry protests, and, all of that is a part of it. Over-representation and overcompensation, if you will, is absolutely a part of that process. But I am also looking forward to sort of equaling out and just being an actor, or just being a writer instead of being I'm leading with my pussy. Hey, want to read my script? I keep it right in here. It's my purse. What? I'm just a writer. Thank you. I love being a woman. For many reasons. It's challenging, but I'm looking forward to just having directors work with people.
We can't wait to be in that space. And you know what, everybody, the sooner we get there, the sooner we'll shut up about it.
Yeah. You want us to shut up? Cool. Let's just build this.
Let's get to gender parity, and we will all shut up.
Yeah, exactly. Lay the bricks with us.
And until then, you're going to have to hear about it every damn day.
Absolutely. Oh, are you uncomfortable? I'm so sorry. That's my norm. So, I get it.
We'll give you time.
Yes.
We'll give you a minute, but you're coming. So tell me, in your journey, have you found that you've had to adjust your style or adjust how you come at it? Or have you just been hello, I'm Allie, and this is how it's happening?
As far as my voice as a writer, or
in your working life in this industry?
I think something, for better or worse, something I've always been great at, even as a child. I didn't really know what it was, but I adapt really well, and it doesn't feel inauthentic in any way. I'm not changing who I am. I'm just sort of oh, this part of me makes more sense here in this space, so that's where I'll come from.
Let me read the room so I can be effective.
Yeah, and I enjoy that. My mind is super active, so I love connecting with people and finding out where they are, and then I know where to come from, kind of a thing. But I don't feel that I don't know that if anything, I've blossomed more into myself because of the challenges that I've faced. It's literally physically painful for me to not be authentic. I actually had to walk away from the industry for a couple years, because when I first came out here, I don't think I understood. No, I know I didn't understand the business side of it as much. And so I got kind of sucked into different ways of being involved in nothing like super dark or insidious or anything. It's the second night I've used the word insidious. I don't know. It's a good word.
It's a word of the day.
It's a great word. But still, it had this effect where I didn't really feel grounded in myself, and I'm looking in the mirror, and I just like didn't even know who I was looking at, and there was just no floor. And so I was like, I think I need to walk away because I don't really know what's going on right now. And so I actually went back to school for a little bit just to see if I wanted to get my master's in clinical psychology, because it's very similar. I mean, acting, psychology, it's people.
Hand in hand.
People. Love it. Could have those conversations all day.
You're not even the first person this week I've talked to with both of those focuses.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's like the same study with a different practice.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I mean, I loved the conversations and the people I met and everything, but I learned very quickly I did not want to be in a classroom. Like that was not the setting for me anymore. And still ended up going on the study abroad program to Japan for 3 weeks and studying Zen meditation and Japanese psychology, which was
because why
amazing.
Not?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, on that note, good day. But it really helped me clarify, like, no, this is actually part of who I am and what I'm meant to do, and that doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but I do need to go back to it, but I do need to go back to it on my terms and really know where I'm coming from if I'm going back into this industry. And so I had to do a lot of that soul searching. And of course, while I stepped away, I still produced a short film while I was gone. So I was never really like, it's like that ex that you're like, oh yeah, like we don't talk. I mean, we like fuck on the weekends. I'm sorry. Don't know how censored this podcast is.
You can say the F word. It's
good.
fine.
You mean fun? Yeah. So yeah, no, I really feel like ever since then, the way that I feel so much more authentically myself, and my work comes from that, and my relationships come from that, and I feel that I've experienced a great deal more growth from that space.
So how do you stay grounded in yourself in this wackadoodle business? Do you have a spiritual practice, or what do you do? A
few different things. So I was born and raised Jewish, and I very much identify with that culturally.
Happy New Year.
Thank you so much. Lishana Tova. But it's not the religion. I consider myself a spiritual person rather than a religious person, and
Your dating profile is spiritual, not religious?
Not religious. I know I'm the first person who's ever said that, especially in Los Angeles. No, but I really see those as two different things. Like, spirituality is inherent in life, regardless of your belief on higher powers or whatever. It's just the interconnectedness of all things. Religion is sort of like humankind's way of sort of using that to assert control and order into the world, which is not necessarily inherently a bad thing, but it has definitely been abused consistently throughout time.
It has been abused once in a while.
Yeah, a few periods of time. And as a Jew, I'm very familiar with that. But no, I study a form of Buddhism that has come through Japan called Nichiren Buddhism, and there's a chanting practice, but it's a meditation in the morning and the evening, and it helps me just bring into focus, because I'm not chanting it's not like an idol or like something separate outside of myself. The scroll that we use to sort of focus our energy is literally serves as like a mirror of my life condition, as it were, like who I am, where I am. And so I have no other option other than to be with who I am wherever I am. And so that really builds such a deep sense of self and like steadiness throughout the waves, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Be here now.
Yeah. And whatever your practice, I mean, everything is a meditation. I mean, I practice mindfulness throughout my day, like eating is a meditation, walking is a meditation, writing is a meditation, like
what about driving, though?
In LA, it is a challenging practice, but yes.
Like, that could be your whole spiritual practice.
Oh, the 405 is my church all day long.
If you could just keep it together to get from here to there.
Yeah. Well, and I've also found moving my body, because I'm very cerebral, so I need to move physically to balance that. So, yoga, trail run, I love lifting weights, I love boxing, I like, a bunch of different things, dance, whatever I can do, it gets me out of my head, because that really isn't what steers everything. It's the heart and the body. Like, the body is so much smarter than the brain. So I like to keep her awake and make sure she's always involved in my decisions. Because this one up here, she's a noisy little biscuit. Sure, okay.
Noisy little biscuit.
That's a thing.
That'll be the tweet. We were talking before we turned on the recorder about how it feels right now that there are kind of parallel systems happening in Hollywood. There's a studio system putting out the tent poles, putting out the network television, and then there's the Netflix, the Hulu, the Amazon, all that. But there is also this very vibrant, active, I would say underground, except it's not underground at all, independent filmmaking, web series making community that is doing so much incredible work. And the challenge is going to be merging the two. Like one is making all the money and one is making all the art.
Yeah.
So how do we...
Well, I think it's like we're talking about with just the patriarchal system. I mean, it's a matter of completely changing structure, which is totally scary. Absolutely, from like a business standpoint and all that. But at the same time, smart businesses, entrepreneurs, they know that the way to be successful is by doing something that hasn't been done before. So yeah, I get wanting to stick to the formulas and like the safe bets and, sure, we're spending $400 million on this one film, but it's proven, whatever that means. And it's not like I just make, $10-40 million films, make $10 million. Like do break it up, diversify, like create more inroads, because it's such a bottleneck, right? To get to the top at this point, there's all this incredible creative juice and people that are working together and doing these great things, but it's all funneling into these like one franchise or this other thing over here, and I really think that it has to be emerging, and I think that's the way the studio system could survive, is if they integrate with independent a little bit more. I don't really, I can't sit here and be like, and here's the roadmap, I have a business plan, but like, there has to be a way.
Because on the one hand, all the studios are publicly traded companies and have an obligation to their shareholders and their businesses and have to make money. And at the same time, so many of us feel like Hollywood and entertainment has this social moral obligation, because it is shaping culture, and what a huge responsibility that is. And to merge the two of seemingly disparate goals, I'm making this up as it's coming out of my mouth, but I think there's some truth to it, right? It feels like a big deal and like something we're going to have to figure out.
Absolutely. They have the eyeballs, and I think we need to remember where we came from. We're storytellers, and really, to be explicit, directors were women when all this first started. It was a woman's job. It was included in a book called Jobs for Women or something back in the day. Literally.
Teacher, nurse, director.
Yeah, literally. And then the next edition, after they started kind of like realizing, oh, this is like a money-making thing. Like there's money to be made here. Power. Funny enough, the next edition, that page was removed, and men started taking over. It's a really, really interesting tidbit of herstory that we don't hear about very much.
The early female filmmakers have been erased from the canon.
Completely, which is
weird.
So damaging. But we're in this amazing time with social media, and like we're all connecting and communicating at such a rapid rate, and it's such a broad way too that we're there. It's really hard to erase. Broad, pun intended. Can I take credit for that? But that I think that really, it's a lot harder to erase things than it used to be. Not to say it's impossible, unfortunately, but I think it's a lot harder because we're a lot faster, and like I can connect with someone across the globe right now if I wanted to. Like, it's incredible.
The internet is forever.
Yes, the internet's, oh yes. Thank you, Al Gore. Going back to our roots, I think would be really useful for the studio system. I mean, they exist as monoliths because of these beautiful stories. They created stars, and now they're like, oh, we need to place stars. You can also create them. Like, go back and like find talent. They keep trying to catch lightning in a bottle. You got to make more bottles if you're going to do that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just because you caught that lightning that one time in that one field with that one bottle doesn't mean you're going to keep doing it if you go back to that same field over and over again. All the lightning's over here now.
Right. Like that's the one formula.
Yeah. And I get it from a business standpoint. However, your product is creativity. So there needs to be a different business model for sustainability.
It is funny how it seems like we're surprised every time it happens, even though it keeps happening. Yeah. Like Black Panther, oh, surprise! Oh, Crazy Rich Asians, oh, surprise! Oh, yeah. It's every time.
How many times do we have to prove it?
Exactly. A couple more, probably.
Yeah. Great. Then let's have the opportunity to keep proving it. Then let's keep going, because Lord knows, I mean, men have been able to fail upwards forever. Forever. That's like you learn by doing as a man. As a woman, you better not mess up. Oh my God.
You get one shot.
One, if you're lucky.
Yeah.
Whew. And even that might not guarantee the next step. And this is not a generality. This is like, there's exceptions, of course. There's always exceptions. There's plenty of men who haven't been given opportunity. That's what I keep hearing too, is guys, well, I'm not sitting up there and no, I know, but the probability of you is a lot greater on a, a lot fewer variables that I have to deal with than what I have to deal with. But at the same time, we also make our destiny to a certain extent.
I'm hearing a lot of grousing now about white men being shut out of jobs because now it has to go to a woman or it has to go to a person of color.
Okay.
What do you say about that?
Oh, that's so complicated. I have very mixed feelings about it.
I liked your first answer, which was okay.
That's part of it. Absolutely. Part of it. The short answer is okay. The long answer is technically that's illegal. But it's been illegal for a long time and it's still been happening. So while it hasn't been at the forefront, people aren't going, you're a white dude, I'm going to hire you. They don't need to think about that because everything is supporting that. It's what's ingrained in their mind. We don't have anything supporting, like, oh, you remind me of myself. I'm going to mentor you.
Yeah.
Awesome. But everybody looks the same. And I'm so much more interested in stories about people that are nothing like me because that expands my understanding of the world and actually deepens my understanding of myself through comparison. But that's not, ornately how we work in nature either. Like our body doesn't even work that way. I get why we want to be around the familiar and why that's always been what's cultivated. So now we're in this space of overcompensation of we need to hire people who aren't cisgendered white men. Yeah, that's not fair. It hasn't been for a very long time. It doesn't justify it continuing to be. However, I do see it as a point in the journey that will help us equal out. I also don't want to see, what's really damaging, unfortunately, and I really want to encourage any agents or managers, really anyone who's hiring for writers' rooms or anything like that, or anything. If you're hiring women and you're having conversations with your cisgendered white male buddies and you're like, man, I would have loved to put you in the room this season, but it had to go to what you're telling your client or your buddy or whomever is that the people who are in those seats are less talented or less deserving and they're only there because of their genitalia or the color of their skin. And I sure hope that's not true because that's really going to damage your writer's room. I hope you're hiring super talented, well-deserving people who are going to give you everything, and I guarantee they will because they're being given a shot they've never been given before. But if you're telling your clients the reason those people are in that room is because of those two things, you are doing a huge disservice to yourself and their understanding of what's going on, and you are further progressing sexism and racism and all of that stuff. And yeah, it takes a little more time to be like, explain what's going on, but do it. I know you can. I know you're strong enough. You got to where you are. You can handle uncomfortable moments.
And it might not be enough anymore to be the white guy who knows people. Like, you might also have to be way better.
Yeah, and there are phenomenally talented cisgendered white male writers, directors, producers, all of it.
For sure.
And a ton of people who haven't been given any of those shots either. The thing is...
who are also super talented.
Yeah. You may now have to work as hard as those who haven't been as represented have been for decades now. You may have to make your own stuff. You may have to have a couple years where you don't work. God knows I've gone through that. God knows a number of people. You're going to have to hustle in the way that hustling has meant for most of us, not what it's meant for those who say it a lot. The hustle is real.
Yeah, I think we're going through a painful period.
Yeah, we're going through growing pains. They're called growing pains.
Painful.
Not like
painful.
Growing orgasms. That's not. Why do I have so many? It is a growing pain period, and that I guess that's my main response. Like the short version is it's uncomfortable. That's okay.
Yeah, we'll get through it.
Yeah. Because I want men to have space to be uncomfortable too. Not to complain or whine or that doesn't help anyone. But to be like, man, I don't really know what to do. This is really scary, and I'm not sure what's happening. Cool. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. How do we support us? How do we support everyone?
Yeah.
Because God knows, Netflix alone is 700 active projects worldwide right now.
There are
plenty of jobs. Let's trickle down. Let's because that's the other thing. We're seeing really cool big headlines and companies making these great programs and moves, and we're seeing the numbers change, which is amazing. We got to get the full trickle down. We got to come from the bottom up too. It can't just be trickle down. We got to have mid-level and below careers supported as well.
Yeah.
And I think it's coming. There's so many incredible organizations like Women in Film out there, and the Alliance Women Directors, and I could go on and on and on. But
Film Powered.
And Film Powered. Yeah, exactly. There are many resources. That's the thing too. I really want to encourage women and people of color, and I know this is not speaking to a large majority of people, but you shouldn't just be getting a job because of the way you look or your gender or whatever it is. Be great. We need to compete.
Yeah.
With each other too, I think, but not in the old paradigm of there's one seat at the table. But
not
let's make each other better.
Way.
No. Support each other, but compete as well. Let's hone this industry.
It's a combination of being great and having an open door.
Yeah. Yes. More doors. Hold those doors open for your girls and your, queers and your, POCs that are behind you, and keep that door open. Every time you go through it, hold it open for the next person, and then and on and on and on and on. And that's, bring your own chair with you. Like, if there's only one at the table, bring another one, because Lord knows that table's big enough.
That's right. Let's talk real quick about, you just did this film challenge with Trisha Lee, who was also on the show.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, speaking of great programs that are out there, the PGA, the Producers Guild, puts on an annual Make Your Mark weekend shorts competition. So it's very similar to the 48-hour film project, where you have 48 hours, literally 2 days, to write, shoot, edit, finish, complete all the things, the finished product that goes into competition.
And you guys did a musical.
We did a musical, because why not? I was like, let's have children and animals too. Just get all the things.
Explosives.
Yeah, why not?
Visual effects.
I mean, we had a drone. It was magnificent.
Amazing.
But yeah, it turned out really well. So you have no idea what you're doing until 2 p.m. on Friday. You find out, depending on which challenge, like a genre or whatever, we got 3 options for location. We got 5 props, 3 of which we had to use, 1 of which had to be integral to the story. And we had, what was the
Did they give you a
thing?
theme or a
Yeah, there's a theme. So we were
line?
honoring Sydney Pollack this year, and so it was like themes of, I'm not going to articulate this as well as they did, but internal and external identity, and how we explore that, and sort of the different POV tools that he used in his work. It's very heady. And so we wrote an original song, lyrics, music, everything, shot it, finished it. We had every technical difficulty uploading that you could, but it finished uploading 11 minutes before the cutoff at 5 p.m. Yeah, 5 p.m. on Sunday. So 2 p.m. Friday to 5 p.m. Sunday, we made a movie, and it actually, we had made a political statement in it. There's a twist. There's
a song.
Yeah, it's an actual, I'm really proud of what we did. We're actually going to be just doing some final finessing on it, because we want to continue submitting it to other shorts festivals and stuff like that.
Can we see it anywhere yet?
We'll probably find out end of October, but anyone in the world can submit to this. Probably most of it comes from New York and LA, I would imagine. Yeah. But so I'm sure they have thousands of submissions, who knows. But the top 10 will get screened in LA at the New Filmmakers Film Festival on November 10th. And then of those 10, 3 are awarded, first, second, and third place, which, my God, the in-kind services and everything that are the winnings, you could make a feature. It's incredible.
Fantastic.
So, of course, Trisha and I want to make a feature.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just to even be screened. I'm just so curious. I mainly just want us to get in the top 10 just so I can see what else was submitted, what other people were making with those. Because I really feel good about our unique take on the location that we ended up choosing. It was a lawyer's office, train station, and post-war era. And so we chose post-war era. And I think we did it in a way that nobody else probably will. I can't tell you.
Okay, all right. Fine.
But I look forward to sharing it with everyone.
Cliffhanger.
Indeed.
Okay, editor's note. They actually won 3rd place in the competition. So congratulations to Allie and Trisha and the whole team.
No, it's beautiful. I worked with my buddy, Trisha. We all knew each other in different circles. Again, intersecting circles. It's such a small world.
It is so
but our dear friend James Kyson was opposite me, actually. I didn't know that I was going to be in it until I showed up on Friday. Because I was like, Trisha knows I'm an actor, and we, have wanted to collaborate for a bit, but I figured I was producing this with her.
Oh, and by the way, we cast you.
Yeah, and she was like, so it'll be you and James. I'm like, I'm sorry. Because I don't sing. I was like, I thought you knew.
You do
which
now.
I'm like, okay. So luckily my roommate is an incredible singer-songwriter, musician, so she came on board to help write the lyrics, and we had an incredible composer working with us, and she was my voice.
Oh, you did.
So that was a whole other.
You did a Singing in the Rain?
Yeah.
She was your, what's that, Marnie Nixon?
Oh, sure. I'm so bad with names. Yeah, but it was interesting because we didn't do on location sound because we had basically a soundtrack and I think that saved our butts. It's funny enough thinking a musical, oh my God, that's so much harder. We had so much less stress. I mean, we had plenty of stress in the editing room and everything like that, but even less because we didn't have to deal with sound, because it looks like where we shot is this deserted, middle of nowhere, blah blah blah. It's actually apparently one of the most popular trail running spots in Los Angeles. Like, we were there super early on Saturday morning, and like every high school track team was just like running through every shot. We had comedic effect. Like, it was just, and then we had like a drone shot like pulling out and showing this huge land. And again, it looks deserted. We had at least 400 people going through our set.
Like old for the cross country team.
Like literally. So if we had to deal with sound on top of, like,
forget it.
Oh my God, unreal. So,
okay, well, someday maybe we'll get to see this.
Yeah, no, I definitely want to put it out there, but we want to wait till obviously like the competition's done and all that.
Okay. Do you have any upcoming projects you want to tell us about?
Yeah, well, I was part of 3 features as just an actor this summer, which was amazing. I'm
Titles?
pitching. Yes, A Giant Without a Head, and Life on the Rocks, which was super fun. I got to work with Ray Wise and Bonnie Bedelia is in that one as well, and Tim Russ was one of, they shot this film in a really interesting way. They broke it up into 5 chapters, and they had a different director for each chapter. So it was like almost working episodic, but shot as a feature. It was really, really neat. So I got to work with, 5 incredible directors, and Tim Russ was one of the directors who's, is an actor and is known in the Star Trek space, and I was raised on that, so I was very excited. I was like, Mom, oh my God.
Fangirling?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
And he was so generous. I actually ended up writing a sketch that just got inspired to write, and I was like, hey, so I did this thing. Are you cool do you want to maybe do it? We did it.
Cool.
Hilarious. You can check it out on Hoo Ha Ha. That's Elizabeth Banks's comedy platform. It's they retitled it to, well, maybe there are some small parts. So you can check out
That's what
my
it's
sketch.
called?
Yes.
Well, maybe there are some small parts.
And that's unrecognizable actress Ally Iseman gets her big break in a film directed by Tim Russ. If only she could remember her one line. So enjoy that. But
we'll link to that.
Yeah, and so I'm also pitching an unscripted plant-based food travel show. That's been super fun. We shot in Israel and Ireland last summer as like a 2-episode pilot. So been taking some meetings with that. I've got 2 other scripted series I'm pitching in addition to Flip the Script and the 30-minute version called Flipped. So it's been really cool. Like, I'm opening up. I'd love to know what it's like to be in a writer's room, like an official, like have that experience, whether I'm, whatever position I'm in there, I just love that. The collaborative nature of a writer's room sounds so attractive to me. Like, it would just be so fun. I want like actors' rooms. It's just rehearsal, I guess. But yeah, so I'm excited to see sort of where the next chapter takes me, but I'm really enjoying learning about all the different facets. I'm learning a lot about financing as far as like producing right now, which has been really cool. I mean, that's such the Wild West right now as well, with like distribution the way it is, like just we're in this really disruptive state, which is really, really cool. And there are people who want you to make your projects. You just have to get out there and find your people. And I think it kind of goes back to the question, how do you keep grounded? Do you feel like you have adjusted yourself to fit into, I couldn't recommend against that more. The more in tune with yourself and your voice and what you're passionate about, the quicker you're going to find your people and the quicker things are going to start rolling. I wish I could remember who gave me this advice right when I was first starting to write. I was like, well, like what's hot right now? And they're like, don't ever write for the market. Yeah. Believe me, there are people who will pay you to write for the market. That's fine. That is not necessarily going to serve you in the long run. I mean, I don't know how to wrap that up, but don't write for the market. Write what turns you on. I mean, like, pay attention to what's going on, but come from your perspective, because that's what makes you unique. That's your
superpower.
Yeah, that's literally your superpower. That's what I realized. Like, that's why I kind of said, like, for better or worse, I've always been great at adapting, because I think when I was younger, I did lose my sense of self with that, versus realizing that was a part of myself, and that adapting is just highlighting different parts of me versus like becoming something different.
I think that's so easy for actors to do, because you're particularly empathetic, so it's very easy to read a room and kind of make yourself in that, but without losing your voice is the ticket.
Yeah, which honestly, like, my meditation and Buddhist practice has helped so much with that grounding sense of self, of being able to be a container for myself regardless of what else is going on, versus getting swept up in that. Because you're right, as an empath, it's so easy to, like, you feel like you're like reading everyone's minds. There's just like all this noise,
and
right?
taking on all their stuff.
Exactly.
And then trying to figure out what the stuff is, and it's not even yours.
No. And it's innate to want to help organize other people's energy. I mean, it's a beautiful thing that we can do for each other, but we don't need to.
Right.
If we can all take responsibility for our stuff, wouldn't that be nice?
Make it a deliberate choice instead of a life swirl.
Yes, exactly. And I think that was a big change for me, and a part of coming back to the industry in the way that I have, I feel a lot more empowered in that choice because I know where I am and where other things begin or other people's stuff begins, for the most part. Again,
Huge.
It's an ongoing practice. But
personal boundaries.
Yes. So important. And no is like the most powerful word ever.
Yes.
No is actually yes, I've learned.
Right.
Yes to myself.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like, okay, my next question would be, what advice do you have for people starting out? And I feel like you've given so much, but do you have more?
Do more.
The pressure.
I know it's the biggest thing I think is so cliche, but figure out what it really means for you. But the don't give up aspect, which it's okay to choose to do something else. You don't have to frame it giving up. Like if you're not finding joy or fulfillment in whatever you're pursuing, it's okay to find something that does give you joy and fulfillment, even if it's different. Like that's not failure at all.
No need to be tortured.
No. And if you are really like me, it's not a freaking shiny, easy day every day. Like there are struggles, I meet challenges, there are obstacles, but I have done the work to know the clarity, to have the clarity of vision that like, no, this is what I'm supposed to do, what I want to do, what does actually bring me joy. Even though there are plenty of days that are not joyful, I still enjoy the journey of it. Like you're on a journey, whatever you're doing. So I hope that you're enjoying that journey. And half the battle is sticking with it, honestly. Like there is no formula. The whole like as an actor, oh well, if you haven't had your own series before you're 30 or whatever, like get out of town. Like okay, maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I just don't believe that because I see examples of not that so often because there's no formula there. Like everyone's here to sell you a formula, don't get me wrong, because everyone in LA was going to tell you how to do it and it'll cost this much and over 2 weekends we'll have a conference room anyway. But that being said, mentors and coaches are really helpful, so it's okay to go to those too if you can glean one piece of information.
But there's not one checklist.
But yes, there is not one formula. The biggest thing, again, is know yourself, know why you're doing what you're doing, and as long as you keep checking in with that and you stay in alignment with that and in integrity with that intention, you will be on the path of fulfillment of that. Just try not to hold on to like those like deadlines and like, oh, if I haven't done this by that time, because that brought me so much pain earlier in my career. Well, I haven't accomplished this thing that I thought I should by this point, and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, and 30 is such an artificial milestone. You better be married, you better have your career, you be 6 months away from having a baby.
Which is amazing. If you have all those things and you're 30 and you're happy, keep killing it. If you have all those things and you're not, maybe look for some other stuff. I don't know. Like there's no one way to be happy.
You don't expire at 30.
No.
Let's just say
Contrary to what all the messages around us are constantly saying, especially as a woman.
It is nonsense.
Yeah. Which is so funny, actually. One of the series I'm a co-creator on, we had originally written the two leads, two best friends. Both of the women are in their 20s, late 20s and mid 20s. And so funny, like our male partner that came on is like, no, these women need to be in their 30s. What? And I was like, I'm sorry, what? He's like, we don't see that. What are those struggles? What is that journey when you're, 30s and 40s, when you're like not old enough to be the mother, but you're not young enough to be the lusty, whatever. Like, no, you're still sexy and vibrant.
You're just old enough to be invisible.
Yeah, you're exactly. That sort of like invisible couple decades, which are actually, I think, some of the most pivotal. I love playing 27 to 34. 32. But
that was hilarious. You just had a birthday and
next week.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
But the invitation says I'm turning plays 27 to 34.
For
funny,
LA.
Funny.
Which I actually like. I'm not worried about that kind of stuff anymore because I think I was worried for so long that I just I have to find the things that stress me out or limited me and own them, make them funny, make them, a silly thing so that they lose their power.
Well, it is so funny because I've asked people how old they are and they have legit told me, oh, I play 18 to 25.
Well, it was a turn. I mean, that whole huge lawsuit with IMDb showing birthdays.
Yeah.
Which my birthday is there. If you would like to know how old I am, you can publicly.
How dare you?
I still play the age range that I play.
Yeah.
So. It's a very real thing, unfortunately, but I think if we can start talking about it and seeing how silly it is, it takes the power away from it.
I think transparency is the key to everything, really.
Totally. It's a great show, Transparent.
How can people find you?
I am easily accessible. I'm on all the things as my name.
All the places?
Instagrams, the tweeters, the Facebooks, and I have my website's just my name. So
ALLYISEMAN.com.
.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You've been listening to The Other 50%, a herstory of Hollywood. I'm Julie Harris Walker. I'd like to thank Ally Iseman for sharing her story. And special thanks to Jay Rowe, Danny Rosner, and Allison McQuaid for the music. Please find us on your favorite podcast provider and leave a review. And of course, on our website, theother50%.com, all spelled out in letters, for added features, bios of our guests, and the merch. You can also follow us on all the social media platforms, and also go subscribe to Exit 38 and the Kiss My Age show. Thanks for listening. See you next time.